To my friends on the stage, Savi Soin, Keith Whitek, Hitesh, Sanjay Gupta, and of course my friend from Bangalore, Parag, colleagues from the Government of India and the various labs in the Government of India, my colleagues in the ministry who worked very hard to put this together, those who are from the academia and startups, wannabe startups, future startups, our host, Professor Bose, all of you, a very good morning or early afternoon. Thank you for inviting me here. Thank you for being here at this Digital India Future Labs launch. And I certainly want to share a few thoughts on this, on what the Digital India Future Labs means. And I will start by pointing you in the direction of the deep transformation of the technology ecosystem, our technology credentials, and our technology ambitions over the last 10 years. There was some mention about the India DPI. Just yesterday we had the Eiffel Tower light up with the UPI launch in France. The India DPI, a stack of governance solutions that is now increasingly being adopted by countries all over the world in their own quest to digitize their economies and governance and their citizens' lives. You saw recently the Chandrayaan 3. So over the last 10 years, the journey of India as a consumer of technologies, which we used to be, as a provider of talent for the large technology companies around the world, has certainly been redrawn and structurally changed to being a country where talent is certainly available, and we continue to support the companies and enterprises of the world with our talent, but we are also on the front foot, batting and building technologies, intellectual properties and solutions for ourselves and for the world. With this backdrop, with this context, let me share with you that Digital India Future Labs is the last piece of a framework and an architecture that our Honorable Prime Minister has put together that started way back in 2015 with Digital India launch, and many years of creating an enabling framework to make India a trusted hub for manufacturing electronics for the consumers of the world. And as that got momentum, in 2021, launching the semiconductor mission with research, innovation, and design of the next generation of devices front and center as our goal and objective. Digital India Future Labs is the last important foundational block to position India, position Indian entrepreneurs, Indian startups in the forefront of, on the league table of, the development of future digital products, devices and solutions. Before I speak to what the design of the Digital India Future Labs is about and what we intend to achieve and what is the expected objectives, of course, some of it has been shared by my very illustrious friends from the industry and leaders in tech. Let me give you some background and I'll share maybe 2 or 3 points for your understanding. Professor Bose referred to this, us living in exciting times. And he is absolutely on the money with that type of characterization. For anybody in technology today, even if you're a grizzled veteran like me who started excitedly my career when we had 1.2 million transistors on a chip and that we thought was like going to the moon and coming back, or somebody who, again like me, I use me as an example, who did a master's where I did a thesis on artificial intelligence where training a model with 8 or 9 parameters was a huge challenge and we just had to give up. To living today in a world where AI, semiconductor, high-performance compute, as we knew it, as we just knew it recently, as we knew it in the past, is being completely redrawn and presents to entrepreneurs of today, companies of today, startups of today, research institutions of today, almost an back to basics type of opportunity in developing systems for the future. You heard yesterday, you saw yesterday our Honorable Prime Minister preside over Bharat Mobility, the 2024 event. And he spoke to the growing digitization of the automotive segment, the growing space for innovation in a sector that seemed to have been just a decade ago dominated by companies in Japan, Korea, or indeed in the US and Western Europe. So that is one point I want to tell you, that I certainly confirm to you that, and I can say confirm rather than just state, because I have traveled for 35 years in this technology world. I confirm to you what Professor Bose said, that we are certainly living in the most exciting, most disruptive, most opportunity-rich time for technology. The second point I want to just make to you is that most of us have lived in an era, lived at a time where we were used to general purpose systems, we were used to general purpose processors and chips, closed technology. So there used to be x86, there would be RISC processors from ARM, there would be all these proprietary types of platforms that were very general, and applications therefore just grew off of those general purpose platforms. And there was a point made by Parag, I think, about Moore's law, and that the conventional wisdom for the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years was that every generation of performance improvement, performance enhancement would come from the next generation of chips, which again, like I said, would come from either an x86 or would come from ARM or would come from one or the other family of processors. That is certainly changing. And this is the second point I want to draw your attention to. That as digitization is getting into use cases that were never even envisaged just 5 years ago. And somebody told me recently, and Keith can confirm this, that a Tesla EV today knows less than 1,700 pieces of independent discrete silicon chips talking to each other to make sure the car stays on the road and travels ahead. So digitization and digital technologies and indeed electronification, let me use that phrase, is getting into use cases that were absolutely unimaginable just 5 to 7 years ago. I have, as one of my other responsibilities, Jal Shakti Ministry, where in the last 4 years, the Honorable Prime Minister has ensured that over 12 crore homes which did not have drinking water have today tapped safe water. And one of the active use cases for electronics is how do we create low-cost, ruggedized products or systems that could meter and meter not just the quantity but the quality of the water that is being consumed. Now, 10 years ago, if you had said, look, here is a use case for electronics, a use case for digital, which is to meter water supply to 14 crore homes, 140 million homes in rural India, to meter the quality and quantity of the water, I would have said, you're joking. but that is certainly a use case for technology. So therefore, it is clear whether it is automotive, whether it's industrial IoT, whether it is strategic electronics, whether it is compute as we know it, of course, and compute as we don't know it and can't anticipate, communication. The arena, in a sense, is open for almost brand new, back to basic redrawing, new architectures, new technology, new chips, new systems. And the third point I want to make is what we are seeing around us, what we happen to see with NVIDIA's ascent, with Intel, which used to be the dominant player in the processor chip space, reduced to 7% or 8% market share. A company like NVIDIA, which just 5 years ago was associated with gaming and gaming systems and gaming accelerators, is today a $1 trillion semiconductor company, is essentially that we are redrawing, and there is an opportunity to redraw the architecture of whether it is compute, whether it is telecom and wireless, whether it is industrial applications, strategic applications, and automotive. And that is the opportunity today that Digital India Future Lab is bringing to catalyze the next wave of startups from India. That in a partnership, and look at this stage, you have NXP and Qualcomm, two of the global leaders in semiconductors. You have Tenstorrent, which represents Keith and people like Jim Keller, who are, I use this word with great respect, Keith, so don't misunderstand me, mavericks and disruptors in the tech space. And then you have Parag, a homegrown, and I'm very proud of Sankhya because not only is he homegrown and not only is India's sort of symbol of performance, but also since he's from Bangalore, and I remember going to his company at a time when he was very, very frustrated and said, nobody cares about us. And I said, good things shall happen, and good things have happened. A certain Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji, became Prime Minister in 2014, and the fate and the landscape of everybody who was in innovation suddenly transformed. So this group, working with the academia, Professor Bose, our labs, our organizations in the government, whether it's the Army, whether it's the DRDO, whether it's the C-DAC, whether it's C-DOT, this ecosystem, it is our hope, it is our Prime Minister's hope, it is our ambition, it is our desire that the next generation of these systems that will be designed and architected will come from this collaboration anchored by the Digital India Future Labs. Openness, certainly one of the characteristics that we want, one of the design elements of Digital India Future Labs is what has really made India successful in the DPI area, in the electronics manufacturing space, is that we certainly want to ensure that we create technologies and we create these collaboration models that allow the product solutions and the basic frameworks to be openly available, shared, accessible, so that the layers of innovation that can be built on something that is fundamentally robust and open is at the heart of Digital India Future Labs. Performance, of course. The lab name, as Parag mentioned about Sankhya Labs, is not to be misunderstood for something that is a tinkering lab. What we expect out of the labs, Future Labs, is what came out of AT&T Bell Labs, what came out of other labs in Albany like Nanotech, is that these would be high-performance systems, globally competitive systems, and these would be systems that would be, in addition, having the characteristic of being affordable and low cost and trusted. So openness, safety and trust are things that we want to build in broadly into our digital ecosystem as our basic guiding principle, and we hope that that will be the same as well in the in the Digital India Future Labs. There was a point made by Keith about we have all of the ingredients, but we need capital. And I think, and I certainly want to share this with you, if you heard what the Honorable Prime Minister's budget and what the Honorable Finance Minister laid out just 2 days ago, he has set aside 1 lakh crores, which is $12.5 billion for research and innovation into the coming decade. So, India's ambitions, India's reimagined ambitions, today span continuing to grow our IT and ITES businesses, our enterprises, our capabilities, as, in a sense, the support back office, the infrastructure for the world's digitization needs. To that, we have added the India DPI, where technology and innovation and solutions from India will support governments of the world, especially countries that find it difficult to afford the costs of digitization from the normal system integrators, multinational companies. So the India DPI, electronics manufacturing, semiconductor design, manufacturing, research, and you will shortly hear of a Bharat Semiconductor Research Center that will be announced, where cutting-edge semiconductor research will also be something that India will focus on. And now we have Digital India Future Labs that will round off, in a sense, our ambitions of making sure there is an Indian flag on almost every piece and slice of the technology innovation ecosystem in the coming years, in the coming decade. And just to round off what I just said today and to celebrate the Digital India Future Labs inauguration, I want to certainly tell you that the resources are there, the leadership of this government believes in these ambitions, believes in the ability of our young Indians. And as our Prime Minister said in 2021 from the ramparts of the Red Fort, the coming 10 years, he called it the India Decade. And he went on to say that the India Decade will be architected by, built by, and in a sense made successful by the enterprise, the hard work, the perseverance, determination and innovation of hundreds and thousands and lakhs of young Indians from all around the country. So on that note, again, I thank all of you for being a part of this Digital India Future Labs initiative. And I certainly hope in the coming months and years that this will live up to the ambitions and the vision of our leadership, our Prime Minister, and all of us. Thank you. Jai Hind. Namaste.